Hello again, everyone. It's great seeing you again, and thanks for joining us for this Thursday's edition of Alaska Weather, 24th day of December 2020. I'm Dave Percy, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service, hosting today's show. Up first, hazardous weather graphic. Let's see. There we go. One more there. And I don't know why those show. They should have been hidden. But anyway, a lot less on the chart here than we had on Monday, the last day I worked. Now we only have the Alaska Range, Eastern Alaska Range highlighted there, and that's for a wind advisory for gusts of 55 miles per hour from the south and southeast, or east-southeast, or south to east, and that's out until 9 p.m. this evening. And then winds will continue to diminish in the area there, as they are during the afternoon today. And from there, we'll go to see the rest of the state. No other watches, warnings, or advisories. A pretty clean chart there, except for the Eastern Alaska Range for today. And boy, none of these stayed hidden. Let's keep rolling through here. And for the satellite imagery, we've got, I guess I have to advance each one of these frames individually. We've got low pressure approaching the, cloud associated with low pressure approaching Kodiak Island. That one stands out a little more vividly than the one south of the Panhandle does, although that's quite a cloud shield across the Queen Charlotte Islands. That's where the heaviest rain and wind are occurring, seeing winds anywhere 40 to 55 miles an hour down over the Queen Charlottes, and to a much lesser extent, only just light amounts of precipitation over the southern Panhandle. During the last 12 hours of 1 to 2/100ths of an inch over the southern areas there, Prince of Wales Island, Net, I think Ketchikan, 2/100ths of an inch, and drier conditions with clearing up to the north and more offshore flow there. And even Kodiak Island's only picked up about 1/10 of an inch of precipitation, as that system is proving to be a little more of a wind producer than precipitation producer, with winds gusting to about 40 to 45 miles an hour now at Kodiak State Airport and also in Chillicothe Strait. And otherwise, we've got cold air out over the Aleutians, staying cold enough with keeping the precipitation in the form of snow at AKwx today, with winds west-southwest gusting 35 to 40 miles an hour there along that frontal boundary that's now passing Atka and heading in toward the eastern Aleutians. So winds picking up over the Fox Islands and the Pribilof St. George Island, seeing gusts to about 41 or 2 miles an hour at mid-afternoon today, but not much precipitation with that. That's farther back in the main cloud shield there, the precipitation-producing clouds, where it's brighter, and then a lot of cold, unstable air, snow showers, pretty numerous there for the central Aleutian areas, and tapering off back towards Shemya, just some light snow there, with even colder temperatures into the upper 20s here this afternoon, and around freezing there for AKwx. Up on the Arctic coast, a band of clouds up in that area, and winds not too bad around the state. Elam had gusts 25 miles an hour there on the, or actually Nome to Elam, south coast of the Seward Peninsula, seeing winds east-northeast, 25 to maybe 30 miles an hour at the most. Shaktoolik, there in the Nulato Hills area just east of Norton Bay, had the strongest winds gusts 40 to 45 miles an hour today. And St. Michael, Elam, those areas, Unalakleet, 25 to 30 mile an hour in the wind gusts there, with some scattered snow showers, again anywhere from 1 to 2 inches at most there from the northern Yukon Delta area across Seward Peninsula up in toward Kotzebue Sound area. Most areas saw less than that, but some areas did pick up anywhere from 1 to 2 inches of light snow during the day today. And from there, let's see, go to today's weather. We've got, again, that low centered, say near Shishmaref or Buckland, and the trough extending southward, that bringing the gusty winds and some light snow to the area up there. Really tapers off and you get down to the Yukon Delta there. And then you see some clearing showing up over the Alaska Peninsula, kind of in between systems from the low south of Kodiak and the approaching front there to the west. And so pretty light winds and some clearing for the Alaska Peninsula area earlier today. And not too bad, just some rain and snow showers along the North Gulf Coast. Amounts not much at all, anywhere from 1 to 2/10 water equivalent at the most in the last 12 hours. And then that high over the Yukon there, Northwest Territories of Canada, keeping it, mostly clear, definitely dry for the northern central southeast coast. And the southern area is starting to get in on the light moisture there of that system, that warm front that's down over the Queen Charlotte Islands. And you can see ridging popping up over the western Aleutians, that helping push the cold air down, keeping it in over the Aleutians. And we'll see for tonight, surges of moisture in the form of snow continue to drop southeastward across mainly the central Aleutians to about Unak Island, and snow showers at times for Unalaska and the Pribilofs with nothing too significant or heavy. You can see that low comes up southwest of Kodiak toward the Alaska Peninsula toward Chignik by 3 a.m. Christmas Day, and that weakens considerably, so the winds won't be much of a factor with that at all, and still some periods of light rain or snow for Kodiak Island, and periods of light snow areas of Bristol Bay. Could be a mix of precipitation, southern Cook Inlet, Kamishak Bay, Kachemak Bay up the east side of the Kenai Peninsula into western Prince William Sound, looking pretty light though, and then that kind of enhances there in the upslope areas of the western Alaska Range. And then Kuskokwim Valley, basically dry, just a risk of some snow showers, and then that enhances a little bit there over the Kuskokwim Mountains, and then dry to the west there, west of the Kuskokwim Mountains to the coast with some clearing, and more of an dry or east-northeast flow. Same thing for Norton Sound, that snow shower pattern ending, but persisting along and south of the western Brooks Range. Arctic coast, light winds, variable patchy fog, and that's about it. In the eastern interior, light winds, mostly clear, and that's where the temperature will be the coldest tonight over the eastern interior. A little breezy over the northern panhandle, and definitely winds increasing along with the precipitation over the southern southeast coast. And then for tomorrow, that whole system slides northeastward there, and so look for some gale force winds along the central coast, south coast. We're all along the coast actually, but much lighter up along the eastern North Gulf Coast, so only 20 knots, but definitely looking at 35 to 40 knot gales there, with that system sliding north-northwestward and that tight gradient, but those winds will be diminishing in the the southern part of the panhandle with periods of rain and snow, but from about Juneau northward along the Klondike Highway, Haines up to Skagway, may be a precipitation-free day there, but definitely some clouds rolling in. And out west, you can see the stronger system pushing in the frontal boundary in toward the western central Aleutians, mostly the western Aleutians. That low continues to weaken over the northern Bering Sea. And otherwise, the eastern interior stays basically dry and mostly clear, variably cloudy. Could be some patchy areas of low clouds and fog, wind-shielded areas, lower valleys, and variably cloudy Prince William Sound, mostly clear over Cook Inlet, especially northern Cook Inlet, but increasing rain or snow shower chances as you head down toward Kachemak Bay. And then north slope light winds and dry conditions. Same thing for the northwest coast, possible clearing, especially on the south side of the Seward Peninsula, and not too bad for St. Lawrence Island, and ridging, bringing some clearing into the central Aleutians as well as the Pribilofs. And then on Saturday, big storm moves into the Bering Sea, or actually the Aleutians, and affects just about all of the Bering Sea eastward of the Alaska Peninsula. That low center down to 936 millibars, and so that front will be pushing gale and storm force winds eastward there into the Fox Islands with rain heavy at times. Look for increasing wind and precipitation of the Pribilof Islands. Could start out as snow briefly, but changing pretty quickly over to mixed rain and snow and then to rain, but strong winds and in the cold air for the far western Aleutians there with rain and snow changing to just snow for Shimei and Attu, but staying mixed for areas from Adak westward. And then that weak low over the lower Yukon River Valley area, producing some scattered snow showers, mostly cloudy skies there, but nothing significant. And variably cloudy, patchy areas of fog anywhere Cook Inlet up into the Tanana Valley area, maybe even the eastern Arctic coast. Otherwise, not a lot going on over the interior or the panhandle, except for maybe some sunshine during the midday hours for the southeast coast, but rain and snow showers continue to persist along the North Gulf Coast. Looking at the lows tonight for the panhandle, mid-20s north to mid-to-upper 30s south, and generally below zero, 15 to 25 below, maybe a little colder there over the eastern interior, and 5 to 10 below or 0 to 10 below for the Arctic coast. Otherwise, upper 20s, lower 30s for the southwest interior, mid-30s Kodiak Island, near freezing for the Fox Islands, and teens to upper 20s for the Alaska Peninsula, but lower to mid-20s out there over the Aleutians. And then highs tomorrow, lower 30s, Haines, Skagway, those areas, mid-30s Juneau, but mid-40s over the southern southeast coast, lower 40s Kodiak Island, lower to mid-30s for Bristol Bay, and mid-30s for the eastern Aleutians, as well as Adak and Atka, lower 30s at Pribilofs, and rising above zero over much of interior Alaska, just a shade above zero there for the Yukon Flats, and staying below zero Northway Tok, but Eagle should get up to 11, single numbers for the Arctic coast, and mid-20s St. Lawrence Island. And then for the Saturday morning lows, looking like this, anywhere from 10 to 25 below. They're over the eastern interior with the mostly clear skies and lighter winds. North slope below zero, but not too bad for this time of the year. And for the southeast coast, mid-20s north to near 40 on the central and south coast, near 30 for your morning low for Kodiak Island, into the 20s for the Alaska Peninsula, lower to mid-30s out over the Aleutians, mid-20s for the Pribilofs, followed by highs Saturday afternoon. Looking not too bad, right around zero in the eastern interior there, and 20s southern Alaska, 30s to lower 40s for the Panhandle.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Flying weather, it looks like Christmas Day starts out with IFR there along the northwest coast from Kotzebue Sound, and also eastward there along the southern slopes of the Brooks Range and catching the Kobuk and Selawik Valley area, as well as the Noatak Valley, marginal for the Arctic coast. And then VFR, much of the central eastern interior, Norton Sound, Seward Peninsula, and a few good swaths of VFR out over the Bering Sea. IFR, though, Bristol Bay up into the southern Kuskokwim Valley and then along the Kuskokwim Mountains up, narrowing out as it gets up toward the Yukon River there. And IFR early on there on the eastern slopes of the western Alaska Range, marginal VFR Kodiak Island up into western Prince William Sound and then eastward over the southern Panhandle. For the afternoon, that all vanishes there. North Gulf Coast, Kenai Peninsula, all VFR, Cook Inlet, most of the interior with IFR over the west and southwest interior there, down in across Bristol Bay, VFR, Alaska Peninsula to the Pribilofs, and not too bad for the Fox Islands. And then conditions starting to come down, marginal VFR encroaching on Atka, IFR moving into Adak and along the western Aleutians. Otherwise, marginal VFR, North Slope and the Arctic coast, but VFR there over toward Barter Island, Kaktovik, and Point Lake, Cape Lisburne, northwest areas there, VFR. And for the Saturday morning time frame, we've got a band of IFR there, not quite to St. Lawrence Island, where they'll be marginal, but down across the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, Bristol Bay area, maybe getting in the southern Kuskokwim Valley. Otherwise, the interior, south of the Brooks Range, VFR right on down to Fognak Island, and eastern Kodiak Island looks VFR, the marginal VFR towards Shelikof Strait. IFR, Prince William Sound, North Gulf Coast, marginal VFR along the central and north coast of the Panhandle, and VFR for the central areas on down to Dixon Entrance. For Saturday afternoon, areas of IFR, Talkeetnas and along northern Copper River Basin and the eastern mountains there, Wrangell Mountains, and also on the North Gulf Coast, some IFR. And marginal VFR from the North Slope Arctic coast, but the Brooks Range on down, all the way down to Lake Iliamna, there VFR, most of the Yukon River until you get to the Delta, then it's marginal, Kuskokwim Delta, marginal, Southwest Coast, same thing, Nunivak Island, St. Lawrence Island, Pribilofs, all marginal VFR. The only IFR out there hitting the land areas is Shimei and Attu, and then on Alaska Island, Alaska Peninsula looks pretty good, VFR, as well as Kodiak Island. And then some marginal VFR, Kamishak Bay, maybe catching Port Muller, and that's about it. And VFR for the southeast coast. Passes tomorrow, both Anatuvik and Adigan, good VFR. Brooks Range there, Lake Clark and Merrill starting out marginal, becoming VFR during the morning hours through the afternoon. Rainy, marginal VFR early, then VFR for most of the day into the evening. Windy, VFR. Isabel, VFR. Mintasta, same forecast, good VFR. Tanita, VFR, looking good for portage, except for some possible marginal VFR early in the day. Might be a little slow in the morning to give way to the VFR, which will last throughout the afternoon into the evening. Chilkoot and White, IFR to start early and then VFR. And the freezing levels, 4,000 feet there over the northern Panhandle. Otherwise, 2,000 feet south of everywhere else. At the surface, though, north of the Pribilofs and then hugging the Alaska Peninsula, mostly the North Gulf Coast. Icing, a zone of elevated icing threat there along the central coast of the Panhandle. Areas of mixed icing possible over the southwest interior to Kodiak Island up to the lower Yukon River Valley area. And then a more prominent band with the front pushing in toward the western central Aleutians. jet stream. Tomorrow we've got actually ridging. We've got a low driving itself into the ridge there west of the Queen Charlottes. But otherwise, we've got southeast flow turning southerly in the interior, 65 to 80 knots. And the stronger jet just south of the western central Aleutians, 9,000 feet. Southeast flow, 35 to 40. Kodiak Island, Kenai Peninsula, turning southerly over the west central interior. And then southwest along the eastern Brooks Range. And 3,000 feet, looking not too dissimilar to 9,000. 40, 60 knot winds with that tight system pressing up against the ridge there over the western Canada, tightening the gradient up for some stronger winds there. Otherwise, southeast 25 to 35 there, Kenai Peninsula, Kodiak Island, and narrowing out as you get toward the Brooks Range, turning southerly, 20 to 25 from the southwest for the north slope. And northwesterlies 40 to 50 knots from the south central Bering Sea across the east central Aleutians. And turbulence-wise, moderate chop, northern panhandle, Alaska Peninsula, central and western.
How fare ye, hearty? Maester Trace here with something that hasn't happened in the sky since Shakespeare's plays were new hits. A great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn. In a conjunction, objects appear close to each other in the sky, and great conjunctions are pretty rare, happening only every 20 years, but this one's even more special as Jupiter and Saturn haven't come this close since 1623. Hopefully you followed Jupiter and Saturn's lead up to this meetup, but even if you missed the approach, the event is totally worth it. Hit up the nearest patch of sky just after sunset and look southwest to see a super bright spot above the horizon. That is 2 planets, y'all! What? Jupiter is 15 times brighter than Saturn. They will be so close together, it's going to be hard to pick them apart. But with binoculars or a low-power telescope, the view is even better. My review, 5 stars. Keep looking up.
If you've been watching this series, you know that NASA has scientists posted all over the world studying Earth's frozen regions. We've got people exploring ice sheets, glaciers, permafrost, sea ice, snow, and even ice on other planets. But even our top scientists need a little backup sometimes.
Do you like going outside to do science?
Yeah,
Why?
because it's fun.
Yeah. What's your favorite part?
Frost tube.
Frost tube! Cool!
In this bonus episode of Cryosphere, we're following the micro-explorers that are helping NASA collect data from their own backyard.
Do you think it's going to be frozen?
Yeah.
Yes? Why?
Because it's very frozen!
Here's the idea. Students construct a frost tube that gets put into a hole in undisturbed and uncompacted soil. During the cold months, students will measure the depth at which water in the frost tube freezes, indicating that the surrounding soil has frozen. This is one of many citizen science projects facilitated by GLOBE, the Global Learning and Observations to Benefit the Environment program.
What's going on? What did you find out?
It's the ice!
How far down is the ice? So is there still liquid in there?
It's a worldwide program that, so far, has collected over 130 million measurements from more than 10 million students in 113 countries.
Are you scientists?
Yeah.
These measurements are added to a massive worldwide database that's free and open to the public.
GLOBE connects my students with the rest of the world through science and looking at climate change and how it's impacting the future.
GLOBE teachers like Terry are transforming the way kids see science and how they'll respond to changes in their future environment.
Let me see your happy face. Ah!
Actually, we were so impressed with the kids of John Fredson's school that we decided to show their work to the scientists in the original NASA Explorers Cryosphere series. And they had a couple things to say.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Oh my god. Do you like going outside to do science? Why?
Because it's fun.
How far down is the ice?
That's awesome. Wow, this is really, really cool.
Hey students from Miss Terry's class, I just got to see your video. I was so impressed that you guys were braving the conditions of the snow and all the crazy stuff to go and learn more about the permafrost and where the water layer is right outside your school. That looked incredible.
It is so exciting to see you guys and girls doing such great work as we watch our planet change over time.
Hey there, young scientists. Looks like you guys are doing some amazing things. Remember to keep warm and take notes, and also stay curious.
Oh my God, this is awesome. I love seeing the enthusiasm of these kids. They're outside, it's obviously really cold, but everyone is so excited to be out there making measurements for NASA. That's wicked cool.
Because you're so right, science is so fun, and I really hope that you'll continue believing in that. The best piece of advice I ever got was, whatever you do, do your best.
And from all of us here at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, remember, dare mighty things.
So keep up the great work. Make sure that you're having fun no matter what. That's the key thing about pursuing a career in science. Make sure it's something that you love. And I'm really impressed. So hopefully we'll take the lessons you're learning and apply them when we explore our solar system.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Looking at the sea ice analysis today. Not a lot of change from yesterday, and not much change expected tonight to tomorrow. But then with the system coming into the Bering on Saturday, into Saturday night and Sunday, southeast flow will increase there along especially the Kuskokwim Delta coast, to a lesser extent in the Yukon Delta. Now it'll tend to push things off to the northwest. While farther into the north, kind of a east to west drift will occur with more easterly flow. And moving on to the coastal water forecast, looks like gale warnings flying for the south and central coast of the Panhandle. For south winds 40 knots, 23-foot seas, and then on the extreme north coast, winds drop back down to east 20 knots. Lynn Canal gales 40-knot winds from the north, 8-foot seas, and Stevens Passage southeast 30 with gusts of 35 knots, and gale warnings coming into the forecast in the afternoon or throughout the day for Clarence Strait, south 35, 11-foot seas. Those are much lighter winds in store for Saturday for the central and southern inside waters, variable to southeast at 10 knots or so, with pretty slight seas down to 2 feet, north 15 for Lynn Canal. Northeast 15 for the south coast with 10-foot seas, north coast south 20, 12 to 13-foot seas. And for Cook Inlet, small craft advisories tomorrow, northeasterlies 25 to 30 knots, strongest south of the Forelands with 6 to 9-foot seas. Good gales, Kamishak Bay east 40 knots, and Barren Islands east 35 knots, drops down to 25 knots for small craft advisories for the western North Gulf Coast. Northeast 20 for the Middleton Island area, and pretty light northerly winds for Prince William Sound with seas of 2 feet. Southeast 10 for Prince William Sound on Saturday. Not much change in the sea heights there, 2 feet or less or so. And southwest 15 knots for the North Gulf Coast, seas around 12 feet. South 20 knot winds for Barren Islands, Kamishak Bay area, and northeast at 10 for Cook Inlet. Kodiak Island tomorrow, east side, southeast 30 knots, small craft advisory, Shelikof Strait, east winds 30 knots. North 15 for Bristol Bay, Alaska Peninsula, northwest 25 knots with 12-foot seas. And the outlook for Saturday, active front coming in with that big storm out over the west central Aleutian. So coming up to full gales for the Alaska Peninsula out of the south, 45 knots. Southeast increasing to 40 knots for Bristol Bay, and those 45-knot winds there extend from Sitkinak to, again, Cape Sarachev, all the Alaska Peninsula, and they'll be heading up toward the southwest part of Kodiak Island late in the day. Otherwise, you're looking at south to southwest winds 25 to 30 knots. And for the eastern Aleutians tomorrow on Alaska Island, west-northwest 30 to 40 knots. And then storm warnings bearing down on the Unmak Island area, Nikolsky, westerlies 45 to 50 knots, and 40 to 45 knots from the west, Adak and Atka, swinging around southeast 40 for Amchitka Island, turning east 40 for Kiska, Shemya, and Attu. And for Saturday, storm warnings for the western Aleutians for northwest winds 50 knots from Shimia to Kiska, Amchitka Island looking southerly at 50 knots, 38-foot seas. Adak and Atka around storm force, or look for storm warnings for winds up to 50 knots with seas on the Pacific side up to 35 feet. And also for Unmak Island, south winds 45 to 50 knots. On Alaska Island, south-southeast 40 to 45 knots. And for the southwest coast, northerlies 20 to 30 knots with 30-knot winds along the Kuskokwim Delta coast there, south of Nunivak Island, east 25. Pribilofs, east 15, St. Matthew Island, 20-knot winds from the north for St. Lawrence Island, and brisk wind advisories for north 25 for Norton Sound. Northeast 20 knots in the forecast for Norton Sound on Saturday. Otherwise, St. Lawrence Island northeast at 30 with east winds 40 knots, Yukon Delta coast, southeast 40 knots, Kuskokwim Delta coast. Storm warning, St. Lawrence Islands, east 50 knots, 45 knots out of the east for the Pribilofs. Arctic coast on the east side variable 5 to 15 knots to northeast at 10 on the central coast, east 10 on the west side, and then kind of variable winds at 10 knots from Cape Beaufort to Wales. And for Sunday, north 30 knots, Wales to Cape Thompson, and then 15 to 20 knot winds for the western Arctic coast, and still kind of lighter and variable for the central and east side. And for tonight, light winds up that way, Arctic coast with patchy areas of fog, some snow showers possible along and just south of the Western Brooks Range there into the Noatak Valley. Nothing significant as that whole area tapers off. And snow showers with that moisture coming with that system, but it's weakening, so periods of rain and snow, especially over the higher terrain and then into Bristol Bay, with increasing wind and rain and precipitation for the Panhandle.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.